Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I apologize. We're having some technical difficulty. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you. Tonight, we are starting off our series, and I want to introduce our candidates. As it had shown on the screen, but I'm going to turn it over now to our moderator this evening, the first vice chair of the Newton County Democratic Committee, Mr. Mike Hesterly.
Yes.
All right.
Can't hear Mike.
Of this forum that you received prior to this dialogue. These are the guidelines for the forum.
Mike,
yes.
You were muted the whole time. Can you start over, please, sir?
Oh, sorry.
I unmuted you.
Technical difficulties. This is our first one. Let's start over. Here we go. Welcome. Good evening, and thank you, candidates, for joining us for this forum tonight. Thank you to our neighbors and fellow voters for tuning in with us also. 2020 is the most pivotal election of our lifetime. Solid leadership is a necessity. Now I'll review the guidelines of this forum that you received prior to this dialogue. These are the guidelines for the forum that the leadership and candidates have been given. I will call on candidates in the alphabetical order by last name. When you are called on, you will be unmuted by the host and will be provided up to 2 minutes to give an introduction of yourself and your campaign. I'll ask a question that was submitted at random. These questions were submitted by individuals from our community. Candidates will be called on to respond in alphabetical order by their last name. The candidate answering the question will be provided 1 minute to respond. If an opponent is mentioned in the response by another candidate, the mentioned opponent will be afforded 30 seconds to respond. Time will be called by the chairman, who is our host for the evening. All candidates will not necessarily be asked all questions. The allotted time for this forum is 1 hour. If all questions have been given the opportunity to be presented, I will then recycle the questions and continue in the order previously mentioned until the time is called by our chairman. At the closing of questions, I'll call on the candidates in alphabetical order by last name, and you'll be afforded up to 2 minutes to give a closing statement. This forum is live streamed on YouTube. All comments are disabled and removed to ensure that the focus of this forum is on the candidates and not on individuals wishing to cause outside disruption. At the end of the forum, you may find a recording available on our YouTube and Facebook page. A reminder, this is not a debate. This is not a time to sling mud upon one another. We want to provide a fair and equal opportunity to have candidates in front of the constituency. Any issues that arise in the forum that may violate this will be decided upon by unanimous agreement from the moderator and the host. Whatever decision is made is final. Now let's have some opening statements. Let's start out with Mr. Anthony Bailey, candidate Anthony Bailey. It's all yours.
Yes, good evening. The name is Anderson Bailey. My name is Anderson Bailey. I've been in Covington all my life. I'm a native of Newton County. I'm married to Angela Bailey for 37 years. We have 3 kids, Courtney, Yasmin, and Draco, 2 grandkids, Jalen Gunn, and Parker Bailey. Also, I work for the city of Covington, been there 14 years. Also, I have also earned a certificate of local government management from the University of Georgia Carl Vinson Institute. I'm also the minister of music at Murray CME Church here in Covington, Georgia. And my slogan is Anderson Bailey for all. We're for all schools, all children, everybody, including administrators, from down to the custodian, all the way up to the board. Thank you.
Mr. Bailey, I apologize for getting your name wrong. That was my mistake, and I do apologize for that. All right, let's give Jeffrey Johnson a chance to tell us a little bit about himself. Mr. Johnson?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Jeffrey Johnson, candidate for this position. A little bit of background about myself. I'm a product of this school system. I went to elementary, middle, and high school. Following that, I graduated from the University of West Georgia. After that, I went on to serve in the United States Army. I was a public affairs specialist there for 4 years, was honorably discharged from there. Went on to become a college recruiter for undergrad and graduate studies for Troy University. And then I did that for a while. And after that, I was in my most recent position as a graduation specialist, graduation coach at Eastside High School here in Newton County. And I give a little background about myself just to say, you know, that's where my passion for education comes from. It's not just happened, it's been there. I'm somebody that's very passionate about having our kids receive a quality education. I'm passionate about the school system because I work for the school system. I know the ups and downs. I know what's good about the school system. I know what are areas for improvement in the school system as well. My key points are empowerment, excellence, and education. Of course, like I said, I want a great education. All of our kids, including yours and mine, deserve a quality education. Empowerment. I want everyone to walk through the doors when they're going to work and feel they have a peace of mind when they go to work. They know that insurance, dental, medical, all that good stuff that's behind the scenes is in the right place and where it needs to be. So when they walk in there, they know I'm fine. I have a peace of mind. I know I can be successful for this day. And excellence as well. I know that Covington and Newton County is known as the Hollywood of the South. And we're known globally for our entertainment district, but I want us to be known globally for our education as well. So that's just a little bit about myself. Again, Jeffrey Johnson.
Thank you, Jeffrey Johnson. Thank you very much. Next is Michael Sifo. Michael Sifo, are you ready?
I'm ready. Hello, every District 4 voters. My name is Michael Sifo. I am a candidate for the vacant position currently on the board. I am also a graduate of Newton County High School, a graduate of Kentucky State University in political science economics, and also a graduate of Georgia Tech in city planning and real estate development. I'm running for this position because I truly think I can add some value. I've been around this town a long time, and I understand the economic makeup of this town, and I also understand the importance of having the school board being a vital partner in this whole development. Some of my key points are, in light of the virus, some of my key issues that I'll be focusing on is sustaining and improving the remote learning system that's currently in place. I understand it's doing a great job. Also stabilizing and developing a sound budget to keep the school system running. The budgets are going to be a challenge. The economic forecast is very doom and gloom, and I think it's going to take a steady hand to help move us beyond that realm. Please consider voting for me. I think I'm the best candidate, and I would like to make my voice heard. Thank you.
Now for our first round of questions, and our first question goes to Candidate Bailey. Candidate Bailey, are our schools safe? And if so, how do you feel they are protected? If not, then what would you do to make them safer?
Well, I feel that our schools are safe in all aspects. I've been around the school systems. I've been at basketball games where I've seen the deputy sheriff doing their job on their posts, monitoring all exit as well as, outside once the activity is over. And if I had to add something to that, we could also add some extra curriculums to the deputy sheriffs and the units, to RSO officers, to continue to maintain safety. Add more cameras where it's needed, add more lighting where it's needed at the high schools and the middle schools, because it's dark in some areas. And we need to lighten up some of those areas because it's a lot of things goes on in the dark. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Bailey. Next question goes to Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson, currently there are 3 high schools in the county: Alcovy, Eastside, and Newton. With us trying to promote the county and have a sense of unity under one Newton, the suggestion is now being circulated to rename them South Newton, East Newton, and West Newton, with the possibility of a North Newton when the need arises. What are your thoughts on renaming the high schools?
Renaming the existing high schools, I'm not necessarily for renaming the existing high schools if we have the ones that we have, just because of thinking of economics, trying to be cost effective. If you rename a high school, I mean, yes, it's nice to have a new name to the school, but you got to think about how much it costs to rename that school. The signage, the marketing materials, the supplies, everything has to be renamed. I have 2 daughters in the school systems who are, who are cheerleading and dancers and all that, and to know how much a cheerleading package costs, 2 cheerleading packages cost, and to think that if I buy it one year, the next year I would have to buy another package again. As a parent, it's not really cost effective. So, naming schools to come, that's fine, but renaming existing schools, I'm definitely not for.
All right. Michael Sifo, what changes to the school board budget do you feel are necessary, and if any, to maximize learning and minimize waste?
Okay, the changes I think are necessary are, in my opinion, will be based on what this current economic downturn is going to bring. The budget is going to be difficult over the next 2, maybe 3 years. Collecting taxes, the city is going to have some issues collecting taxes. The state's going to have some issues collecting taxes. So some of the changes that probably ought to be at least being discussed right now would be coming up with a responsive budget that will allow us to move freely through this downturn. I think the school system has operated pretty decently in terms of budget. There are some reserve issues, and I'd like to see the reserves enhanced. However, I think these next 2-3 years are going to be serious. I think the budget challenges are going to be great, and there's going to be a considerable amount of belt tightening. So some hard decisions are going to have to be made. And quite honestly, we're going to need the input of the local citizenry, the students, the teachers, the staff, the business community, because I have a feeling that the shortfall is going to be devastating in terms of operations.
What is priority number 1 for you if elected to serve? He's muted.
Mike, will you ask the question again? You actually got muted by accident.
Oh, I did. Okay. Mr. Bailey, what is priority number 1 for you if elected to serve?
Priority for me, if elected to serve, first of all, is getting to know the entire staff at the Board of Education, also as well as getting to know the board members. I'm familiar with some of them, but not all. And also getting to know all the administrators at the local high school, elementary school, and when I say not just District 4, I'm including all districts. And to prioritize everything is to maintain the kids first. That will be the priority thing, of getting the kids where they need to be and put them online for their education and bringing them up to par. So when they get ready to go into the next level, whether it's middle school, high school, or even going to the career academy, they should be taught, learn, and everything. That's it.
Mr. Johnson, the Board of Education is taking the taxpayers' money to another county to hold graduations. Where would you suggest we hold the graduation in Newton County that will not only allow students, to invite more family, but will also cut the cost?
Well, I don't know if there is a location that will allow us in Newton County. I know we have Sharp Stadium. That's probably the biggest location we have there. And that's fine, but there's a lot of concerns that I would have with doing it at Sharp Stadium. I know we've done it before. And, the concerns there are, the air condition that we get with Springfield, the live streaming we have with Springfield, the stages that are set, the area that's set for us, that is Springfield. There, it's kind of hard since they have already set that standard for us to have a graduation. I would hate to move it just to say we have it in Newton County, but lose the quality of the graduation. So, my idea would be searching until we have that structure in Newton County, until we have that place that we can have it here in our own backyard, to search for a place that allows us to have the number of people at the graduation, but doesn't lose the quality of the graduation that we had.
Mr. Sifo, we have come to see how important technology, internet, is to education. Do you feel the school district is obligated to guarantee all students have access to the internet, even in their homes? If so, what plan or plans would you like to see put into place to facilitate technology/internet access for all students? Mr. Sifo.
Well, the internet access is most important, particularly as we go through these tough times. I can't overemphasize the fact that going through these tough times require internet access. I don't necessarily believe the school system is directly responsible. I think it's going to take some sort of a collaborative arrangement. I think a relationship with the cable company. I know they do that in Atlanta and the CAP school systems, but we may need to start to explore how to create a collaborative relationship that will allow us to provide access. Also, the idea of the temporary hotspots I thought was a great idea. Some of the people, I'm on the board of the Washington Street Community Center, and some of our kids were able to access the internet. However, we ran into an issue where all of them didn't have the hardware to access the equipment.
All right. So now, next question is for Mr. Bailey, and let's see. Okay. The issue of student lunch debts continue to be an issue. School systems nationwide must address. What actions do you feel will remedy this problem and allow learning to be the presiding issue our students must tackle each day?
Well, with the lunch issue with that, as a student myself, when I was going to school, my mother worked in the cafeteria 55 plus years at Newton. I've seen her pay for kids' lunch. I've seen her, feed other kids and to continue on with that. But to access that, I think we should be able to look into ways where we can look at grants, offers from the state, to where we can also find a way where we can come up with the funds where we would be able to balance the kid, because every kid needs a great balanced breakfast in the morning along with a balanced lunch to get through the day. And because that way their mind can focus on the classwork and that's what they're being taught by the teachers. So I think we would go in and look at where we can ascertain the fund from other areas, or either look at other sources of bringing in, so where we can maintain lunches for all kids at all levels.
Mr. Johnson, Mr. Almond Turner was a vital part of this community. How would you carry on his legacy?
Well, it's definitely a great legacy that he left. His legacy of equality, selfless service, of diversity. If you would have went to his service, you would have seen no one in the crowd looked alike. Everybody was different, came from different backgrounds, different races, creeds, colors, everything. And that's kind of the legacy that I would stand on. That same thing that he built, serving each and every child like it was his own, serving this community as is his home, because it was, but caring for this community and caring for education and caring for the people that serve in this community, that's the same legacy that I would definitely carry on.
All right. Next question goes to Michael Sifo. Mr. Sifo, what makes you best qualified in this race?
Quite honestly, I think my educational background, my work experiences, particularly in the area of budgeting, securing funds, financial funds, and particularly non-traditional financial resources, and also my ability and expertise in building consensus, I think gives me an advantage over my opponents. And quite honestly, I think I will be ready on day one. I think I can add value the minute I'm announced being on the board.
Mr. Anderson Bailey, what is your vision for education in our community?
My vision for education in our community is to bring all students and parents, teachers, educators, all the way up to the principals together as one. When I was growing up here in Newton County, we had that where we could bond with the teachers bonding with the parents, and everybody was on one accord. When you put everybody on one accord, the education level was soar around here, because that way you can maintain the attitudes in the classroom and continue to be able to talk to the children and also teach the children at levels, and they would be able to learn more.
Mr. Johnson, what motivates you to become a school board member?
What motivated me? What motivated me was to have a voice, to help others have a voice. Again, I've worked in this school system, and I've seen some of the things that I loved about this school system, and I've seen some of the things that I wanted to change. And when I left the school system, I didn't want to. I'm not someone that leaves things unfinished. I'm not someone that sits around and complains. I'm somebody that takes action, and that's willing to go and make those changes. So, I'm running for this position because I want to have that voice, and I want to make those changes. I know what it feels for teachers or students or parents to feel like they don't have any options, and I want to be a person that provides that option for them. I want people to understand that when I go in, it's not just me going in that seat, it's us. It's me and the teachers, it's me and the students, it's me and the parents as a partnership, as a team going in there, and that's what motivates me.
Mr. Sifo, we're recycling our questions again here. This is
Okay.
I have already asked this question, but here it goes for you. The Board of Education is taking the taxpayers' money to another county to hold graduations. Where would you suggest we hold the graduation in Newton County that will not only allow students to invite more family, but will also cut cost?
In the short term, I think we're going to have to continue to use Springfield. I don't know of a quick solution answer to that question. However, in the long term, I think the school board should seriously consider investing in a facility that not only would serve to host all of the graduations, but also be a building that could serve to train teachers, provide all kinds of specialized training, as well as host events. I do believe this may be an economic generator. I think we need to run a pro forma analysis on that to see what the cost might be, or we might be able to convert an existing school or a school that may be closed. But I seriously think that we need to consider hosting our own graduations.
Mr. Bailey, how would you carry on Almond Turner's legacy?
Well, I have had the privilege of working with Chief Almond Turner as a police officer and also as a city employee. And to carry on his legacy, he was a tremendous person here in the community. I mean, everybody knew Chief Turner. They respected him. He was a very well-respected individual throughout the county and surrounding counties. And to carry on his legacy, we would have to continue carrying on his legacy as if he was still here. We just can't forget him, but to carry on his legacy, caring about the kids, doing for the community, doing for the kids, being active throughout the entire city and county.
Mr. Johnson, back to the technology issue. Do you feel the school district is obligated to guarantee all students have access to the internet, even in their homes? And if so, what plan would you like to see put into place to facilitate that technology and internet access for those students?
Yeah, I think it's definitely our obligation to allow our kids to have the best education and have the opportunity to have the best and receive the best education. So, I know that there's computers and hotspots in place now. I think that, we should look in the budget to make sure that we have the numbers in place to ensure each and every child can receive a hotspot and a laptop. I also think that, we should use some of the just as we're doing it, when in case that there's a pandemic like this or an emergency like this, we just as we're doing the lunches and the breakfast pop-ups, we could do a technology pop-up to where we can have computers and laptops on site to give students, even if it's a couple days a week, a couple hours a day, to give students a chance that don't have that technology in home, and give them a chance to come to a place where they can still receive assignments and complete assignments.
All right, Mr. Sifo, what is priority number one for you if elected to serve?
Priority number one for me, if elected to serve, is coming up with a short-term, hopefully, plan to address the COVID-19 virus. The first and foremost, I would like to enhance the remote learning scenario. I think it can be enhanced. And I think the second, and probably which also ties to the first, is having a budget that would reflect how we go forward, particularly when we know there's going to be a shortfall in property taxes, there's going to be a shortfall in state support. And I think those are going to be the two bright stars in this whole environment. The budget is going to be is the driving force behind everything you can think of.
Thank you, Mr. Sifo. Mr. Bailey, what makes you best qualified in this race?
Made me best qualified is getting along with the community, being able to go out and communicate with all, regardless of what nationality, what area this is, what district, it doesn't matter. Just being able to go out and qualify, being able to get in, jump in like day one, start working, moving forward to where Mr. Turner left off, continue things moving in his way, and not just his way, but our way as well as a board, and working together. And I feel like my skills that I'm bringing is, being in the military, you're out there with everybody, you're working with everybody, you're put through tests daily, always, even with the city and with the community, with everybody out there in the community, helping one another, regardless of what my job is. I also jump over into other fields and continue on. And that's where I feel like doing this right here is where I'm making myself available to the public instead of not being available. I'm being there accountable and everything.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Mr. Johnson, to maximize learning and minimize waste, what changes to the school board budget do you feel are necessary?
Well, I know the budget is reviewed twice a year, once in December, once in May, and just seeing what programs are working for us and what's not. And going in and asking the teachers, what are they using? Going and asking different departments, what's working? What do we have that you're using that we're utilizing? What do you have that's we're not getting any use of it at all that we can get rid of? So going line by line and just seeing what's working, what's not. That's a starting place. But just going through that review, going through that budget twice a year, I think that definitely helps. I know a lot of other counties don't do it like Newton County does that, but I think that's a great example of how we could just review things and see what's working. One time in May, one time in December, see what's working, what's not working, and cut whatever programs we need to cut from there.
Mr. Sifo, what motivates you to become a school board member?
I've been around Newton County all my life. Left, came back, had an opportunity to see a lot of things that relates to what I would do differently. I'm motivated simply by the fact that I like to try to finish what Mr. Turner left off, but I also like to see the school system comes more responsive. The county is moving at a very, very fast pace. They've got 3 sites that are super mega sites, and these sites are primed for all kinds of new development. And I think the school system needs to be targeting training people to fill these jobs that's going to come online. If not, we're going to have a situation we have right now. Most of the employees are from other counties.
Thank you.
I think I can make a difference.
Good. Mr. Bailey, now it's time for you to answer the internet technology issue. Do you feel the school district is obligated to guarantee all students have access to the internet, even in their homes? And if so, what plan would you like to see put into place to make that happen?
Well, I would love to think that the school is obligated for that, but in some homes, in some areas, kids are not able to have that access. And like it was said earlier, You got the cable companies that's got to get together and be able to work remotely together so we can implement and put in place the setups to where we can also get around to being able to supply that to all the kids. Also, I was thinking more or less, you ever heard of the book bus? You can also have maybe a transportation appeal where you can go set up in certain areas where kids can come and spend a certain length of time online at the same time, continue their education.
Right. Mr. Johnson, what is the number one priority for you if you were elected?
I don't know if you can say one thing would be there's a couple things I would focus on walking in. That would be my priority. Curriculum and instruction, and definitely want to make sure that teachers and staff members have exactly what they need to be successful, and students are receiving a great education. Another priority is going into the schools and meeting with the people that are in contact with students every day. I just don't want to meet with admin. I want to go into the schools and a meeting with people that work with students daily to see what they need and what they think would help their school be successful. I want to help bridge the gap. I know there's a lot of resources out in our county that parents, that students don't know about. So I think that's a priority of allowing students to know what resources do we have to be successful, what resources, if you're missing something, if you need this funds, if you need clothes, if you need something, what are the resources that we have out there? And as well, one personal one is mental health. That's definitely a priority. A lot of students come to school and deal with a lot of different things. I had students that have gone through losing 2 family members violently one night and had to wake up and come to school the next day. And so, and when they're in class, they look disruptive. They look not attentive. So that could look like a problem child when it's really a mental health issue with that child.
Time.
So those are my priorities.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Sifo, the issue of school lunch programs or school lunch debts, of course, continue to issue school systems to be an issue with school systems across the country. What actions do you feel will remedy this problem and allow learning to be the presiding issue our students must tackle each day?
Well, as you know, and I think most of the voters in District 4 understands that we have a large number of kids on free and reduced lunch. And until we can resolve that issue regarding helping the parents get some new employment or better employment, we're going to be relying on the state to help us out. And as you know, and I keep repeating this, with this budget crisis that we're going to be facing in a few months, if not now, that's one of the issues that we're going to have to deal with. And free and reduced lunch is probably going to be an expense of the school system. However, there's going to need to be some backdrop for that. Somebody's going to have to fill that gap. I'm not so sure that the reserve funds would do that. However, I think with a collaboration with the business community, I think, and the philanthropic community, I think there's a possibility that we can change the situation and help these kids get food while we figure out this new budget. The new normal is going to definitely affect people, particularly the kids, on the free and reduced lunch basis.
All right, thank you so much. I think we're getting to where we're recycling these questions, the host here, Ryan. And I believe that Mr. Bailey has already been asked this question.
Which question is that?
That would be the number 3 question. It shows here that he has answered that question already.
No, he's not been asked that yet.
He has not? You sure? Okay, all right. Sorry.
Mhm.
Here we go. I'm going to ask you number 3. What motivates you to become a school board member? Mr. Bailey?
School board member is, well, my daughter, who at that time was 8 years old, and she was a diabetic. And, we had issues with the bus stopping. And when you have to go to the board and you're talking to people, you must know who your representative is. And I knew who my representative was, and I went to him, and it was Mr. Clement. He represented us real well. He fought for us. He stood up. And when I saw how things were panning out, when I had to reach out to outside source at the state level to bring in. It motivated me then that we can also help these kids who is more important and who's the future of Newton County. Because we receive our trophy. I received my trophy in 1979 when I graduated from Newton. There now, along with this pandemic now, we got kids wondering about graduation. And so we're gonna have an issue with that. But the thing is, what motivated me more was to be able to get out there and work with these kids, even in recreation areas, work with them, talk to them. You got kids that's got, low areas in some areas, work with them, find out what their weaknesses are. Try to move their weakness forward. Go seek the help. Go with them, walk with them, hand carry them if you have to. And that's just the type of person I am.
Time.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Johnson, I've got a question for you. It's been asked to the others. What is your vision for education in our community?
My vision for education in our community is that my vision is one is that every student has a chance to receive excellent education. It's in the title. I mean, it's in our. That's what I believe in. Every student should receive an excellent education. And then for our education, like I said earlier, I mean, Covington is known as the Hollywood of the South. I want it to be known as the powerhouse of education of the South. I want our education system to rise above the rest. I want our graduates to turn out and be high achieving graduates. And when you have those high achieving graduates, I mean, you attract high paying jobs. When you have the high paying jobs, that's more money in the economy, more affordable housing. I mean, it plays a part. And a great education system is the foundation, the cornerstone of a great county. So my vision is to have a great education system and to build a culture of education. I mean, I come from a family where my grandparents didn't graduate from high school. So not saying that education wasn't important for them, but they might not have known the steps that it took to be successful at each level in education. So building that culture, bridging those gaps, helping everyone be successful in our education system, that's my vision.
Mr. Saifo, we currently have 3 high schools in this county. The suggestion is now being circulated to rename them South Newton, East Newton, West Newton, with the possibility of a North Newton when the need arises. What are your thoughts on renaming high schools?
Renaming high schools is always a sticky issue. I've been around a couple of schools in Atlanta, in the Atlanta area, and a couple other schools in the Augusta area. Renaming schools became very sore spots. I'm okay with naming a school after Mr. Turner. It seems like there's some motivation to do that. However, I do think we need to take the time to study that situation. There may be an opportunity to collaborate in certain instances with some philanthropic organization and raise some money. We're going to need some money. So I think we need to take a moment to explore that. I don't think we just ought to arbitrarily start renaming schools, but I am in support of honoring people who I think are earning the support, and particularly in naming a school.
All right, thank you. What changes to the I'm sorry, this is for Mr. Anderson Bailey. What changes to the school board budget do you feel are necessary to maximize learning and minimize waste? Or do you think there needs to be any changes?
Well, looking at the budget, I haven't looked at the budget, but when you're going into the budget, you're going to raise, eventually the property tax will be raised, and then like it was said earlier, you're going to have issues with that, with the way things are going right now. But we will have to just look at the budget and stand still for a moment. And as time go on and as this issue pass through, then we should look at the budget as we move forward with this pandemic.
All right, let's look at the next question here. Let me look at my schedule here. We are going to go to Mr. Johnson, and I'm going to ask you, I'm sorry here, guys. Are our schools safe? And if so, how do you feel they're protected? If not, what would you do to make our schools safer?
I worked in the school system. I worked in the high school. I felt safe. We had SROs, we had the sheriffs constantly patrolling. We had a great sheriff. I give him a shout out, Officer Vera, who I think was a model SRO who knew how to be patient and kind and understanding with the kids. I know that, school system purchased a police dog themselves who was a little more friendly. I've seen him. When I went to the board meeting, I met the dog. He's a little more friendlier, a little more less aggressive than the normal street dog, the cop dog, police dog that they have. So I know, with that and owning a police dog of their own, that dog's allowed, we can do more drug searches, more weapon searches. I know that there's cameras in the classroom, there's cameras in the buildings. Teachers are equipped with a necklace and a device that if there's something in the classroom, they can push a button and immediately alert the front office staff, the SROs that are, then they know exactly where to find what's going on within the school system. So I think, there's always room for improvement. I think that we've added the buzz. Well, the school system has added the buzzers in the front office. You just can't walk into a school anymore. You have to buzz in with the camera and show your ID once you get in there. So there's definitely precautions that are taken. There's definitely things that are in place to keep our kids safe. But there's always room for improvement. I'm always open to hear the police and the sheriff's office and what they recommend and things like that.
Thank you, Mr. Sifo.
Yeah.
Mr. Almond Turner, here we go, was a vital part of this community and also of the Board of Education in Newton County. How would you carry on his legacy?
I grew up in the same neighborhood with Almond Turner. I was in a band with Almond Turner. And I think that the proper way to honor Almond Turner would be to name a school after him or put something in place that he was desperately interested in, which was safety. I think we still need to study that. I think I mentioned earlier we need to study that. I want to give him the proper attention. And I think Almond definitely needs to be raised to a higher level. But I just want to do it right.
All right. We have one final question for each of you. And Mr. Bailey, I'm going to start out with you for the final question. The Board of Education is taking the taxpayers' money to another county to hold graduations. What would you suggest? Where would you suggest, we hold a graduation in Newton County that will not only allow the students to invite more family, but will also cut costs?
Well, right now, we don't really have a location where we could hold a graduation here. When I graduated back in '79, we graduated in the gym at Newton County Comprehensive High School, which I figured we could have kept that location, just the gym part, and added on to it, and could have been a vital place to hold a graduation and could have put the money back here. But right now, we don't have a location to be accessed to hold the amount of people. And everybody wants to go see their son, daughter, granddaughter, niece, nephew graduate and walk across that stage. And right now, Springfield has that, area. But I would just love to have kept the gymnasium over at Newton Ram and just added on to it, and we could have had our own graduation here in Newton County.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Johnson, your final question. The issue of student lunch debts continues to be an issue in the school systems nationwide. What actions do you feel will remedy this problem and allow learning to be the presiding issue our students must tackle each and every day?
Yeah, students lunch debt. I know that's a big problem, and I know that there's already a policy set in place for students who have debt. I know after a certain amount of lunches that they still receive peanut butter and jelly sandwich. They still receive something to eat. It's not that we don't feed them. I know they receive something, and I think there's definitely a policy that needs we need to review it to see what can we put in there to keep the cafeteria staff to make them feel comfortable. That if they do see a student that doesn't have money, that needs something to eat, that we're just not leaving them without food, that the cafeteria staff feel comfortable with saying, hey, let's go give this student a lunch or let's go give this student a breakfast and there's no serious repercussions. We also need, the partners with our outside resources of our school. Can there be people that help us out with students that have that debt or the students that can't pay for their lunches? Can we partner with somebody that helps us and helps those students that need lunches and add to the system. We already, like I said, we already have a policy, and the students that are in debt. I'm a parent. I know when we receive emails that says, hey, you have a debt of this, or you need to put money on their account or whatever. Can we add to that? I know we see emails. Can we receive a phone call? Just like I receive a phone call if my student or my child is not in school, can I receive a phone call? Just, not everybody is computer literate and computer savvy, but a phone call saying, hey, this student has this debt, or we need some money, or we just need we need some money in the school. That would be definitely helpful.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Final question for you, Michael Sifo. What is your vision for education in our community?
My vision for education in in the Newton Covington area is to, one, come up to speed quickly, because the county is moving toward becoming a highly specialized industrial area with the 3 sites I mentioned. These sites are going to add a considerable amount of value to the city and the county. And my vision is to create an educational environment that will allow the industrial developers and prospects and the day-burning staff to go out and be able to confidently say that we have a school system that will definitely be there when these businesses need, the business community need the workforce. We have an 87% graduation rate. I think that's great. And I'd like to applaud Samantha Furley for that. However, and to be more competitive, we need to be kicking in around 94, 95%. And I'd like to work towards structuring a curriculum that will allow us to do that and help us to be as aggressive as the city and county.
Thank you. Now it's time for your final statement. You have 2 minutes, and our host will be timing you. I'll start out with you, Mr. Bailey. You have 2 minutes.
Yes, sir. My final comment is I appreciate that Democratic Party took this time out to allow us to come together in this time of pandemic with the COVID-19. I thank you, Ryan and Mike and all the other candidates, for being able to be available to the people. Also, my thing is, running for this position and being elected to this position by the constituents in the city and county is being available to them, being committed to them, being in their presence, being able to let them know who I am and where I am. I've talked to some of them who don't even know their representative. They've never seen their representative. Some of them saying, well, some of them come out once every 4 years, never see them again. I don't want to be that type person. I want to be visual, be transparent, be able to, you can talk, you can call me, I will answer. If I don't answer, leave a message, text me, I will get back with you. If I don't have the answer, I will get you the answer. I don't mind taking time off of my job to do what I got to do for Newton County school system and these children, teachers, faculty members, board, or anybody at any level.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bailey. Jeffrey Johnson, you have 2 minutes for closing statement.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I want to do the same. Thank you for hosting us tonight, and thank you for the county for even considering me for this position. But I'm asking for your vote, and when I'm asking for your vote, you're getting someone that's going in as a team player. You're getting someone that's going in, like I said before, it's going to be us going in that seat and not just me. I'm fighting for students. I'm fighting for parents. I'm fighting for staff members. It's us. We're going in that seat. You're getting someone that's vested in the school system. I work for the school system. I know the ups and downs. I have 2 children in the school system. So it's very vital and very important for me that this school system is successful. And then you're getting somebody that's passionate about the schools and passionate about education. I want our county to be known, again, as the powerhouse of education. I want our county to be globally known as that. And you're getting somebody that really has a true passion for the success of our kids, for the success of our staff and admin of this county. A lot of people can have more education than me. A lot of people can have more work experience than me, but you're not going to have more passion about success for this county.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Johnson. Michael Sifo, candidate Sifo, you have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
I'd like to say to the District 4 voters that I feel that I have the most extensive knowledge in budgeting, experience in identifying and securing additional financial resources, particularly non-traditional financial resources. And I have a unique ability to make consensus building a serious part of our format, and I'd like to put that in place. And I particularly think that these particular assets provides me with a unique advantage over my opponents. I'm not trying to criticize my opponents, but I've been there. I've worked toward making school systems prosper, and I think I am the best candidate for this job. I've been in Culverton most of my life. I came back to Culverton, and I've been working real hard with the Washington Street Community Center to transform a specific need of a specific group of kids in the community. And I think I can do a better job going forward. So please consider me for the vote. I'd like to thank the Democratic Party for hosting us. And I'd like also to wish everybody good luck.
Well, thank you, Michael Saifo. And listen, everybody, we appreciate you coming out and being with us tonight on something. This is a whole new thing for everybody here, this communicating this way and campaigning this way. And we thank you so much for being a part of this forum. I'd like to remind everyone that coming up, stick with us in 30 minutes. We are going to tune in. You can tune in for us on the same link for the State Representative District 113 forum that we're going to have. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you at 7.
Thank you.